Next to me is the new Shelby Gt500, and it's incredible. No longer are Mustangs straight-line beasts with the handling characteristics of a tugboat. Nope, the Gt500 can lap Chuckwalla Raceway in the exact same amount of time as a Porsche GT3 RS. Let that sink in. Under the hood of the Gt500 is the same 5.2-liter V8 from the GT350, only that flat plane crank has been replaced with a cross plane crank. No, we don't get that crazy 8,250 RPM redline, but they've strapped the same supercharger from the C7 ZR1, giving this beast 760 horsepower and 625 pound-feet of torque. All of that power is sent through a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, all to the rear wheels, and surprisingly, it's able to get a ton of traction. 760 horsepower makes this the most powerful Ford ever created. And like the Mercedes AMG motors, they've got a one-man, one-engine philosophy whereby the engine builder actually signs the engine once it's complete. And this thing sounds absolutely ridiculous. To handle all 760 horsepower, Ford has equipped the Gt500 with 305 section Michelin Cup 2s in the front and 315s in the rear. Now, if you look closely, this car has the optional $18,500 carbon fiber track package, which sounds really expensive, but it's actually worth it, and I'll tell you why. For one, you get the same carbon fiber wheels built from the same manufacturer as you get for 20 grand on the Ferrari 488 Pista. You also get adjustable top-mounted struts, Recaro seats, a rear seat delete to save weight, and this GT4 style wing, as well as a host of other upgrades. What's not worth it is this. For $1,000, Ford offers the availability of a nice vinyl stripe. That's cool, but if you want a painted stripe, it'll cost you $10,000 for some lines on your car. Ford and Shelby's partnership began with the legendary GT40 race car. Carroll Shelby worked his magic and transformed it into a Ferrari-dominating Le Mans winner. Fast forward to 1965, and they completely rejuvenated the iconic Mustang into a track-focused 1965 Shelby GT350. Fast forward to 2020, and we have this beast, the Shelby Gt500. By the way, more on the wheels. If you were to buy those things separate, they're about $7,000 a piece. And you'd be spending the better part of almost $30,000 if you got them without the track package. The Shelby Gt500 looks fast and purpose-built. In fact, I think it's one of the best-looking Mustangs that Ford has ever created. And it's clear Ford wants you to know that it's a Shelby based on the fact that the only Ford logos are those small little logos on the wheel center caps and this one little Ford badge right here. The rest is covered in Shelby Super Snake badges. I also love the fact that they've incorporated hood pins like classic muscle cars, and they've got that power dome to let you know that something crazy is lying beneath the hood. The Gt500 starts at only $72,000. That's $94 per horsepower. A new BMW M4 will cost you $143 per horsepower, and an 812 Superfast, which is a rear-wheel drive front-engine car, sort of similar to the Gt500, will cost you $500 per horsepower. The value for the money here is absolutely insane. Now, speaking of value for the money, the owner, a friend of mine, Joe, actually has this exact car for sale right now. I've got his Instagram linked in the description below. So if you're interested in this car, it's got literally every option you could ever want. Send him a message on Instagram, and he'll maybe let it go for a good price. The interior of the Gt500 is familiarly Mustang, and honestly, you can option this car to over $100,000. So for the price, the interior is a bit lackluster. But it is a performance car. The Recaro seats are fantastic. They hold you in place really well, and they're actually quite comfortable. Because we've got that carbon fiber track package, you've got no rear seats in the back to save weight. The multimedia system, honestly, it kind of sucks. But I do love the front tachometer layout. It's got this horizontal, very track-focused layout that honestly looks very much like the much more expensive Ford GT. All right, let's take this thing out on the road, shall we? The Gt500 startup is insanely loud, so in order not to completely annoy your neighbors, Ford has developed a really cool system that I've never seen before. Click the My Mode button on the steering wheel, go into exhaust mode, quiet start, and you can actually choose a time frame. In this case, between 9 p.m. and 9 a.m., the car will start in quiet exhaust mode. How crazy is that? Now, thankfully, we are not between those hours, so let's go ahead and fire up this beast using the engine start button right here. I absolutely love this instrument cluster. Listen to this thing. All right, enough talking while stationary. It's time to actually put this GT500 through its paces because I have been long awaiting an opportunity to drive one of these beasts. Holy moly. You know, for a 760 horsepower rear wheel drive car, you would think that it would be such a handful, an absolute death trap at the limit. But shockingly, the amount of mechanical grip this car has is out of this world. It feels more like an AMG GTR than it does your traditional rear wheel drive muscle car. It truly is impressive at the limit. Now, there are a multitude of driving modes to choose from that can all be activated via this switch right here in the center console labeled mode. So we can toggle through them. Right now we are in track mode, which is the obvious choice for these amazing canyons, but we can put it into drag strip mode if you're at the drag strip. We've also got slippery mode in case it's raining. This car would probably be a handful in the rain, but you know what? You've got a massive trunk, and because you don't have any rear seats, you could put so much stuff in this, you really could daily drive it. And in fact, the owner of this car pretty much has daily driven his GT500, which I believe is so freaking cool. Then we've got normal mode, which, you know, the throttle response is lessened, the suspension isn't quite intense. That's boring, don't use that mode. Then we've got sport mode, and then you can go into My Mode. If you click the little Super Snake logo on the steering wheel itself, you can change everything individually from the steering weight, the suspension, the exhaust, etc., etc. Now you'll notice this car doesn't have a manual transmission. This is the first GT500 in Ford's history that comes without a manual transmission. Obviously, a bunch of purists were frustrated, but Ford claims not only did they not have a manual that could handle this much power, they also didn't want to source a new one because this car is all about setting lap times. Like I said, it laps Chuckwalla as fast as a GT3 RS. And this is a $100,000 Mustang, not a $250,000 or $300,000 Porsche. Oh my God, the grip is crazy. As you can imagine, with 760 horsepower, the acceleration statistics are pretty impressive. 0 to 60 happens in 3.3 seconds, and the quarter mile in 10.6. That's wild for a front-engine, rear-wheel drive car. Speaking of which, I think it's time to do a launch control, shall we? Floor the brake, floor the gas. Oh! Oh! Oh, this thing is ridiculous. Now, we gotta talk about the sound, because that supercharged V8 sounds absolutely intoxicating. You get that hint of supercharger whine like in a Hellcat, but that's not the only sound you get. You still get that burly muscle car sounding V8. And in a world of cars that are downsizing and turbocharging engines and adding hybrid systems, a sound like that is so welcomed. Oh my God. Now, we're in a tight, twisty section, which traditionally for a big Mustang with this much power would be terrifying, but honestly, it's so easy to place on the road. Steering feel is great. You don't get a whole lot of communication through the wheel, but the actual weight of it's fantastic. I love the shape of the steering wheel. Woo! Now, it doesn't have carbon ceramic brakes, but it really doesn't need them. The braking ability in this car with the steel brakes is insane. Whew. It actually tears your eyeballs out of your skull and gives you so much more confidence behind the wheel. Whew. Oh my God. Yeah, the brakes are unbelievable. Wow, guys. Oh my God, this is amazing. The downshifts are so fast. I mean, this transmission is as quick as it gets. PDK, I don't care. This is as good as it gets. We've got some cool creature comforts as well. Opt for the $3,000 technology package, and you can get a 980 watt Bang & Olufsen sound system in your Ford Mustang. That's right, traditionally a speaker system reserved for Mercedes Maybachs and cars of that sort, you can now get in a track-focused Mustang, which is unfrickin' believable. It also comes with a 10.1-inch touchscreen display, which, isn't my favorite. I do like the analog oil pressure and oil temp gauges in the center of the screen. Makes it feel like you're driving some modified race car. Man, those 16.5-inch steel rotors in the front stop this car like nobody's business. It's not exactly a light car at 4,200 pounds, but if you compare it to other big vehicles, the M5 CS, the most track-focused lightweight version of the M5, is still 100 pounds more and can rip around the track pretty effectively. But it doesn't feel sluggish by any means. It does feel a bit big and wide on small roads like this, but the responsiveness of the steering and the stability of the suspension makes it so you don't care that it's a big car because you can place it like it's a tiny, nimble little Miata. And the suspension, when in track mode, has literally no body roll whatsoever. It corners so flat. Wow. Now, there are multiple exhaust modes to choose from, although all of them are boring except for track mode. You've got quiet mode, like I said, which has an adjustable time frame window, which is really cool. I haven't seen that in any other car. Then you've got normal mode, it's a little bit quieter than, sport mode. And then you've got track mode, which is full-fledged, got to be one of the loudest stock cars from the factory ever. It actually is insane. Oh my God. And I love that we've got this heads-up display shift indicator right ahead of me in the windshield that lets me know when I need to shift in case I'm not looking down at that beautiful 12-inch tachometer. Oh my God. I love the GT500, guys. It's unbelievably fast. The levels of grip are insane. It looks just badass. And it's a confidence-inspiring track car that you can actually beat up lap after lap. Now, in terms of daily drivability, the visibility for a car that's this good around the track is actually really decent. There's no horrible blind spots. The one over your left shoulder isn't great, but despite having that massive rear wing, you can actually see out the rear window very, very well. We've even got cup holders and a nice glove box. There actually are some creature comforts in a car that pretty much is meant just for the track. All right, guys, I'm gonna shut up now and let you listen to the GT500 without me talking. I hope you enjoyed this review. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next video.